You're about to experience something statistically impossible. Not eventually, today. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why it feels like the universe is talking to you, when it's really just math clearing its throat. So let me ask you, what's the last coincidence that made your spine tingle? Maybe you were humming a song from 2003, and it started playing in the coffee shop. Or you thought of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and 30 seconds later, your phone buzzes with their name. You check the time, 11:11. Again. You fly to a city you've never visited, strike up a conversation with a stranger, and discover you share the exact same birthday, down to the year. These moments don't just feel improbable. They feel personal. They feel like someone, or something, placed them there just for you. But here's what really bakes your noodle. What if that feeling, the tingle, the spine chill, the "this can't be random," is the most predictable part of the entire story? What if your brain isn't receiving a coded message from the cosmos, but instead is running ancient software that evolved to see tigers in tall grass and faces in clouds, and now that same pattern hunting machine is mainlining trillions of data points per day from your smartphone, your social feeds, your GPS location, and your entire digital life? You're not psychic. You're just running an outdated operating system on hardware that was optimized for a world that no longer exists. Let's run a thought experiment together, and I want you to actually try to feel this. Imagine a life that's perfectly random. Dice rolling behind every single scene, every choice, every encounter. No fate, no destiny, no hidden puppet master pulling strings from behind a cosmic curtain. Just pure, uncaring, relentless, mathematical churn. What would that life feel like? It would feel haunted. Haunted by signs you couldn't ignore, no matter how hard you tried. Haunted by meaning that seems to find you, chase you down alleyways, tap you on the shoulder at exactly the right, or wrong moment. Every dream that vaguely predicts a news headline would feel prophetic. Every song that matches your mood would feel like a soundtrack curated by an invisible DJ who knows your soul. It would feel exactly like the life you're living right now. But here's the twist that changes everything. You'd be haunted only by your own talent. Your extraordinary, relentless, almost infuriating talent for pattern matching, whether those patterns are real or not. Your ancestors survived because of this talent. The cost of missing a real pattern, a predator's shadow, was death. The cost of seeing a false pattern, a tiger that's just wind and grass, was mostly nothing. A quick adrenaline spike, a momentary freeze, then back to foraging. Evolution optimized for sensitivity, not specificity. You are the descendant of the most paranoid, pattern-hungry apes who ever lived. And now you're using that same hypervigilant brain to parse Instagram notifications and text message timing. It's like using a nuclear bomb to crack a walnut. Now, before your brain screams "but my coincidence was different," let me show you the size of the stage we're actually playing on. Because the scale is what breaks intuition. Earth holds more than 8 billion people right now, this second. Each person makes hundreds of decisions, thousands of glances, tens of thousands of neuro-micro observations every single day. You're not just looking at billions of events. You're looking at trillions. Quadrillions, if you count every tiny cross-referencing moment where two data streams could collide. The number of possible coincidences that could happen today is so large, it wouldn't fit on your phone's screen if you wrote each one in a single pixel. In a sea that vast, the rare isn't just possible, it's routine. For someone, somewhere, the 1 in a million shot hits every few minutes. The 1 in a billion shot hits multiple times per day, somewhere on Earth. This is the law of large numbers in action. And it sounds like a boring legal statute, but it feels more like gravity for chance. Flip a coin 10 times, you might get 8 heads and start thinking you're cursed. Flip it 10 million times, and the universe quietly, stubbornly, almost arrogantly insists on perfect balance. 50% heads, 50% tails, with razor precision. Not because each individual flip remembers the last one and tries to even things out, coins don't have memory. But because uncertainty, when you have enough of it, averages out into pure, predictable monotony. But here's where it gets spicy, where your intuition starts to smoke at the edges. At what mathematicians call a combinatorial explosion. I call it the possibility breeding like rabbits on Red Bull effect. Every new person in your life, every new place you visit, every new choice you contemplate doesn't just add one more possibility, It multiplies the entire possibility space by itself. 2 people have exactly 1 possible connection. 3 people have 3 possible connections. 10 people? 45 possible pairs. 23 people? 253 pairs. And that's just simple one-to-one connections. Add in triplets, quadruplets, timing overlaps, location overlaps, topic overlaps. You're not adding possibilities anymore, you're launching them into orbit. Somewhere in those trillions of daily arrangements, your personal impossible lines up today. And tomorrow. And the day after that, like clockwork. You just have to be paying attention when it happens. And here's the kicker, you're always paying attention. This is why the birthday paradox lands like a magic trick. You want to simultaneously applaud and flip the table over. You gather 23 random people in a room. Just 23. Could be a party, a classroom, a workplace meeting. And there's a better than even chance, 50% coin flip odds, that 2 of them share a birthday. Not a specific birthday you called out in advance like some cheap psychic trick. Any birthday. Just some match somewhere. Your gut screams this is wrong. Your intuition is waving red flags, sounding alarm bells, filing a formal complaint with the manager. 23 people, 365 possible days, your brain protests, that's a 6% chance. Not 50. But you're not counting pairs. You're counting people, and people don't connect in straight lines, they connect in webs. Pair 1 can match with 22 others. Pair 2 can match with 21 new others. Pair 3 can match with 20 new others. Add it all up, and you've got 253 independent shots at hitting a match. That's not 6%. That's 50%. The math isn't magic. Your brain just can't intuitively handle exponential growth. Surprise only survives when you don't count all the ways coincidence can happen. And your brain definitely doesn't count them. It feels the hit like a lightning bolt, but the thousands of misses evaporate like morning dew. Which brings us to the look elsewhere effect, the archer who fires arrows at a barn, then paints the bullseye around wherever they happen to stick. This is post-specification. Hunting after the fact. And it's the engine of almost every spooky story you've ever heard or told yourself. You dream about an old friend, then they text you the next day. Amazing, right? Proof of psychic connection? Except you didn't write that prediction down. You didn't pre-register that dream with a neutral third party before it happened and say, this specific person will contact me within 24 hours. You had dozens of dreams that week about dozens of people, places you've never been, situations that made no sense. One of them, by pure chance, lined up with reality. But your brain doesn't store the misses. It can't afford to. It would overflow its own capacity with mundane, unfulfilled predictions. So it keeps the hits, discards the misses, and tells a story of remarkable accuracy. Science guards against this by declaring the target before you even knock the arrow. That's pre-registration. Writing down your exact prediction, your exact method, your exact definition of success before you collect a single data point. If you don't do this, you will find patterns, because the universe is so big that patterns are the default setting. They're not special. They're not messages. They're litter, scattered across the landscape of large numbers. But wait, randomness isn't even smooth. This is where people really get tripped up, where they start believing in conspiracy theories. We picture random as evenly spaced, like a perfect checkerboard. One heads, one tails, one heads, one tails. But true randomness clumps. It clusters like spilled coffee. It spits out streaks and voids like a broken fire hose. 7 heads in a row isn't just possible in randomness, it's inevitable if you flip long enough. This is Poisson clumping, named after the mathematician who first described how random events naturally group. Think of rain, it doesn't fall one polite drop per square meter per second. It splashes and bursts, puddles, and racing streaks across your windshield. Buses arrive in 2s and 3s, not because the transit authority is messing with your schedule, but because if one bus gets slightly delayed by traffic or a slow passenger, more people pile on, it takes longer to load, it gets more delayed, while the bus behind it has fewer passengers and catches up. Clump formed. No conspiracy required. Meteors streak in showers because Earth's orbit passes through dust trails. Galaxies cluster in filaments because of gravitational pull on random initial conditions. Even disorder has a shape, a texture, a signature. Your life works the same way, and you feel it every day. 5 job offers in 1 week, then a desert of silence for months. 20 texts arriving in a single minute, then radio silence for 3 hours. Your brain screams, what's going on? The answer, nothing. This is what nothing looks like. This is what pure, unfiltered, uncaring randomness feels like when you're living inside it. Now meet your onboard filter kit, the 3 horsemen of cognitive distortion. First, confirmation bias. You're not a neutral observer collecting evidence. You're a defense attorney building a case for the story you already decided to believe. You collect yes votes like they're precious, rare diamonds, and you misplace the no votes in a drawer you never open, that eventually gets thrown out when you move apartments. You remember the one time you thought of someone and they called. You forget the 10,000 times you thought of someone and they didn't, because that memory is boring, it's heavy, it's mental clutter. Second, the availability heuristic. Your memory's search engine ranks vivid over true. If it burned bright, if it tingled your spine, if it made you gasp, it floats to the top of your mental feed like a viral video. The mundane, the ordinary, the expected, the 1,000 days where nothing remarkable happened? Buried. Archived. Deleted to save storage space. Third, apophenia, the primal, unkillable, built-in knack for seeing faces in clouds, Jesus on toast, hidden messages in static, and conspiracies and coincidences. It kept your ancestors alive on the savannah. Better to see a tiger that isn't there than miss one that is and become lunch. But now you're not dodging tigers. You're drowning in information. And that same survival talent becomes a liability, a bug, a cognitive trap that makes you see order where there's only noise. Let's add a Bayesian lens to sharpen this picture even further. Bayes is just this: treat belief like a thermostat that adjusts gradually, not a light switch that flips on and off. You have a prior setting, your baseline belief about how likely something is before you see new evidence. Then new evidence comes in, and you adjust up or down. But, and this is the part everyone misses, the part that breaks brains, you adjust by how likely that evidence is under your baseline assumption. A striking, dramatic story can be ice-cold evidence in a room that's already roasting hot with possibilities. Imagine you hear about someone, somewhere, winning the lottery twice. Your gut screams miracle. Your intuition says the universe is sending a sign. But the base rate is this: millions of people play the lottery, and they play it for decades, buying hundreds of tickets over a lifetime. The probability that someone, somewhere, wins twice in their lifetime? Actually pretty high. It's expected. The probability that you specifically win twice? Astronomical. Vanishingly small. You're confusing the general with the specific. You're confusing what's impressive with what's informative. You're confusing a good story with good data. Here's the paradox of improbability that shatters intuition into little pieces. Each specific coincidence, taken by itself, is breathtakingly unlikely. The exact text from the exact person at the exact moment you thought of them? The odds are microscopic. But some coincidence of some kind, anywhere, for anyone, is nearly guaranteed to happen. It's the lottery. Your numbers won't win. Someone's will. Someone's always will. Every single time the drawing happens, because the number of tickets sold dwarfs the number of possible combinations. Signal or noise, that's the frontier. And science plays brutal, uncompromising defense against spurious wonder. Pre-registration is writing the rules before the game starts, so you can't shift the goalposts at halftime when the data surprises you in ways you don't like. Bonferroni corrections are a tax on peaking. The more questions you ask of the data, the more you must charge yourself for each apparent surprise, each significant finding. If you're testing 100 different hypotheses, you need to be 100 times more skeptical of anything that looks interesting. Replication asks the merciless question: can you do it again, on command, in a different lab, with different people? Because truth is not a one-night stand with strangeness. Truth is a workhorse that shows up every single day, rain or shine, and performs on demand. Then there's algorithmic complexity, a mouthful that hides a clarifying, almost elegant idea. Take any pattern and ask, how short is the recipe to describe it? The string 1010101010 compresses to repeat 5 times. Not surprising. Not interesting. It's exactly what you'd expect from a simple rule, a simple process. But a string like 101101001001 that refuses to compress, that has no shorter description, that resists summarization, that's interesting. That's randomness that isn't secretly simple, isn't just a rule in disguise. In human affairs, the anomalies that actually matter are the ones that defy compression and prediction. A forensic trace that uniquely links a crime scene to a specific individual, a pattern that couldn't be faked by chance. A cybersecurity heartbeat that deviates in a way no normal traffic should, like a password attempt that follows a rhythm no human fingers would type. A particle physics bump that survives new data and tighter analysis, that doesn't wash out when you zoom in, that can't be explained by instrument noise. That's when coincidence upgrades to clue. That's when noise might, just might, be signal. Still, your inner statistician grew up in small tribes, dozens of familiar faces, a few hundred significant events per year, not global platforms of billions where clocks never sleep and data never stops flowing. Your intuition was forged around campfires, where stories were about immediate, visible causes. Now you're trying to hear the thunder of statistical truth through speakers blasting 1,000 songs at once. You're using a tool designed for tracking antelope across a savanna to analyze the stock market, Twitter trends, and global pandemic data. The scale is wrong. The inputs are too many. Your mental RAM is overloaded, and your pattern matcher is throwing false positives just to keep up. So what do we actually do with the coincidences that feel like they're staring back at us, that feel alive? First, reframe meaning entirely. There are 2 flavors, and we've been taught to only recognize one. Meaning by design, the hidden hand, the cosmic intention, the universe that placed the sign just for you. And meaning by resonance, the way a random chord reverberates uniquely in your chest, not because it was aimed, but because you're the right-shaped cavity for that particular frequency. The second is not lesser. It's not a consolation prize. It's the way poetry works. It's the way a song becomes your song, not because it was written for you, but because you were ready to hear it. It's the way life speaks without speaking for you, without claiming authority over your choices. Next, carry a practical toolkit everywhere you go. Number 1, count denominators. Not just the hit, but how many chances there were to hit. You met your birthday twin in a bar? Cool story. But how many strangers did you meet this year? How many conversations did you initiate? How many bars did you walk into? Multiply those together, and you have your denominator. That's the real story, the context that turns miracle into math. 2. Ask pre versus post specified. Did you call the shot before the arrow flew, or did you paint the bullseye after it landed? Write down your predictions. Date them. Make them specific. 3. Estimate base rates. How common is this in the wild, really, when you're not looking? 4. Seek replication. Can the weirdness happen again under cleaner conditions, or was it a one-night stand with strangeness that you'll never see again? And 5. When in doubt, lower your certainty, never your curiosity. You don't have to believe it's magic to enjoy the mystery. You can be moved by a sunset while knowing it's scattered light, not painted by angels. You can also actively design for luck. Serendipity favors surface area. Show up in more rooms, talk to more people, try more things, more draws from the urn. Don't summon fate, expand your sample size. Send one more email. Attend one more event. Strike up one more conversation in line for coffee. Each action is another ticket in the lottery of meaningful collisions. Your life will feel more magical for the most scientific reason possible. You created more chances for magic to land. That's not wishful thinking. That's combinatorial explosion working in your favor, not against you. Above all, practice intellectual humility like it's a martial art. Hold awe and skepticism in the same hand without letting either one crush the other. Honor the feeling, test the story. Let wonder be the invitation, not the verdict. Let it open the door to investigation, not close it with belief. You can be amazed by a magic trick and still want to know how it works. In fact, understanding the method often deepens the appreciation. So here's the final synthesis, the takeaway you can actually use. In a universe overflowing with possibilities, the improbable is inevitable, and it will often wear the most convincing mask of meaning. Your best move is to learn the grammar of chance. The way large numbers demand balance like a stern accountant. The way clumps form even in pure randomness like rain on pavement. The way your mind spotlights the hits and deletes the misses like a bad editor. And the way science separates mirage from mountain with pre-specified tests, correction for peaking, and the relentless, stubborn insistence on again. Show me once, I'm intrigued. Show me twice, under controlled conditions, I'm convinced. For 1 week, starting right now, keep a coincidence journal, but with a twist that will rewire your brain. Each time you note a hit, also count the denominator in parentheses. How many times could something similar have happened today but didn't? How many texts did you send? How many clocks did you glance at throughout the day? How many strangers did you have the chance to meet? Then ask yourself, if this moment means something to me, what meaning am I actively choosing to build from it? Not what is the universe telling me, but what am I ready to do with this feeling, this energy, this spark? And if you're wondering where authorship begins in a life shot through with chance, how you shape a life that's honest about luck and still rich with chosen meaning, well, that's the next frontier. And it's a question worth sitting with. But first, I need something from you. Drop a comment with the last coincidence that made you go, wait, what? And whether you think it was signal or noise. Then, check out the video we're recommending on the end screen. I won't spoil the topic, but it keeps this exact same energy, taking something that feels mysterious and showing you the gorgeous, complex gears underneath. And if you want to turn the universe's weirdest questions into your daily mental upgrade, subscribe. We upload every single day, and we don't waste your time with fluff. The world is weird. Let's understand it together. See you tomorrow.